Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you a little bit about the moon, the new moon that is happening, of course, on the 23rd. It is not going to be an eclipse. Don't worry about it. The eclipse stuff is done and is hopefully out of the way. The only thing to do right now is to basically notice how fresh and revived you feel if you have gone through some kind of trauma or some kind of shift. Try to advise yourself as to how you can leave that which is not working behind and allow it to be so. So one of the worst things that can happen during an eclipse season is people get really freaked out and they start to clasp and grasp things. So we've just recently had a total full moon eclipse in Taurus. And recently it might have also come to your vision or come to your understanding that things were not working so good. And maybe certain things would have to bring about a certain sudden collapse, or there is something rotting and is no longer fresh. And this is where we really struggle as a society, especially people in the West, because we are so used to wanting to win and impress other people, and we want it to look good on every angle, and we want it to thrive. So the culture of agriculturalism also, and the need to attain and keep and have, sometimes generationally has a huge impact on us. And we as people forget that certain things sometimes have to die or be let go of if we want to really make a big difference in our lives. So of course the Scorpio season isn't through yet. I'm recording this video only on the 14th of November. It is still really good time to cleanse. It is really good to recycle. It's good to stay away from quick results and fast gains, and prepare, because Sagittarius is going to be very quick and easy if you have done all the work. So unriddling the riddle and putting together the puzzle of your life is where probably a lot of us should really be putting our time now. So we are going now into the sign also of Orpheus. Some people believe that there is a hidden sign between Scorpio and Sagittarius that speaks of real true mastery of spirit and real true mastery of will. I truly believe that definitely as Scorpio goes through its degrees, it gets to this positive energy, and it kind of expects a certain type of demise and a certain type of rising as well. It starts to become more mature and take things not so seriously. So these last few degrees of Scorpio, we should really invest into still doing some things for us, but also embed that beauty and that positivity that Orpheus, the hidden sign between Scorpio and Sagittarius, loves to instill. And yes, also on the Vedic side, we are going through the sign of the nakshatra of the leader here. So this is very awesome. It is connected to Krishna, it is connected to Rama, and incarnations of Vishnu, of course. So this is the leader, this is the elder, this is the person that knows what's what. And also on the other side, Orpheus, and this place in Western astrology does mean the hero or the person that has solved the riddle of life. So before one becomes a teacher in Sagittarius, if you have something to teach this year specifically, understand that you have to become positive and well equipped and well adjusted, and learn how to still maybe understand the light and the dark, the loss and the find, which are the two snakes that Orpheus is holding. If you look at this sign, if you research it, it's a very interesting sign. And also, yes, the two snakes can also be a symbol for medicine and being above the normal cause and effect of life. And also this brings in this hidden alchemist who wants to show off maybe a little bit and care for us in a completely different way. Also the clown, the joker, and the person that feels very proud and fine about who he is the way forward. So what I'm saying is being playful with life and eventually showing yourself outwardly as we walk into this fiery sign of Sagittarius with Orpheus still in it, is kind of where it's at. So this now is not about hiding, this is not about the hidden jewels anymore. Also, as Mars is at the end of Gemini, it might make us want to keep things behind. But don't worry about that tendency to not want to say, because frankness and positivity is what is going to help keep this moon alkaline and respectful and lovely and lush. So the worst thing that can happen by the new moon on the 1st degree of Sagittarius there, happening on the 23rd of November, is people can get contracted. And although this could be part of your spirit, part of the story, and in some cases that is totally fine, I feel that people will believe in you not so much if you suddenly contract. So if you've been worrying, if you've been working too hard, if you haven't been able to face your life, if you feel abused or hard done by life, it's very, very hard to speak out later on in the coming years. So a lot of our fortune can be undone. We can lose a lot of money also with this Jupiter being at a perfect square to the Sun. We can lose a lot of people. We can lose a lot of people. We can lose a lot of faith. We can lose a lot of money. We can lose a lot of hope and other things if we are still not yet positive and optimistic about how our lives have landed. So also, it's not just about monetary things, although Jupiter is at an aspect to the Sun, almost perfectly at a trine. And although Venus is still conjunct the Sun, and she is carrying this message of pride and this message of affluence through, I think it's very, very important for us to be, to some degree politically correct and be aware as to how certain social groups and scenes may perceive you, or how your art or music or your words or your presence might be associated with in certain parts of society. But we don't want to get closed up here. We don't want to start feeling ill and sulky and desperate. And also, as the moon would have passed the South Node in Scorpio that we've just learned so much about, it would be so lucky and so happy for us to conclude those reasonings and to conclude those things that we cannot help as they are happening on their own. So the South Node is about, like, I don't know how it happened. I just let go and I flew. The South Node, especially in Scorpio, is accidental findings and also an accidental worth coming out of that which you probably couldn't help before. So not knowing how you would live, not knowing how you would go about your day, and a sudden gush of energy or like hot air or just frequency helps you manifest things without having to think it over and without having to control. But we are still perplexed because the South and the North nodes are balanced perfectly by Saturn. And Saturn is in Aquarius. Now this is very hard for me, as I'm sure for many other people, because of the amount of energy that we've been putting into certain structures, like society, like schools, like certain type of intelligence, certain type of ideology, also certain home. We don't want things to be at a jeopardy to our progress. Like, we don't want to say too much and accidentally force a certain event in our life. We don't want to speak to the wrong person or end up kind of like in the wrong gang by accident, because there is still a mind over matter approach, even though this expansion is very imminent and prominent, and for a lot of us it is something that we cannot help, and it is kind of holy, as there is an unknown aspect or unknown information as to what makes certain things go and what makes certain things grow, and how does a certain person achieve success or a life without certain limitations. So here I'm studying my form, and I'm also studying music, and I'm learning about becoming less limited through basically learning and hoping for the best. I mean, if you like, you can just let go. It's a very, very conservative world out there, and I do understand that. But if you like, try to do what I do. So basically, I'm just out there truthing about my life, and I'm doing a lot of maybe slightly weird things on my other YouTube channel, which I can't do here in this particular YouTube channel, because astrology astrology draws a certain type of, I suppose, crowd. But yeah, definitely, if you like, try to expose yourself to more. This is a really beautiful time to prepare. So how to raise your confidence without having to risk anything. I think it's more about variety, and it's more about curiosity than anything. We are going to eventually walk into Hygeia, the two snakes, completely different sign from Orpheus. This is an asteroid. Hygeia, two snakes in Sagittarius. So the sun is going to cross that sign as we walk through the second part of Sagittarius. It's going to be a very, very hard thing for us if we don't understand what variety is, if we don't understand what beauty is, if we are not curious people. Curiosity is one of the best ways to get yourself in the best seat in life at the moment. Being curious, calling up people, doing things around the place, filming videos, going somewhere attractive, wearing brilliant colors, doing things that are completely polar opposite to you sometimes, just to feel that adequacy and to feel that sentimentality that I believe this time is trying to help us feel. More so what I trust that is happening during this particular time, as we are trying to wheel ourselves out of that sulky softness and walk into a more crisp and crystalline life. That's going to be very, very difficult, and I think a lot of people are going to have to be put back or put to the side, and that's really hard. So being backbenched, having to be somebody else for a minute. Also, people that are not likely to compete or not be very well off right now are going to become very obvious. So people that cannot make music yet, that cannot participate in certain experiences yet, people that cannot walk out of that closet yet, or that cannot teach anybody anything yet, are going to become very obvious during this window. So Orpheus is trying to help us see ourselves clearly. Look, I'm the master of this. And it's not maybe necessarily all there is to life, but certain masteries are very important now. And you might be able to have a very economical and very blessed experience, and also further on in your life it will return if you can just be obvious about who you are and what you're good at. It's also a very, very amazing time not to search for that which you don't know or cannot have if it doesn't really fully connect to your consciousness or what you're doing right now. So like running away from your life and leaving it all behind for something way out there, like a relationship online, okay, or like a person that you've just met, is very, very hard for us. But sometimes people have to do this, and yes, they have to go through a lot of breaking up and issues eventually to come back to the top. But yeah, here we have the tiger yet. We don't want to necessarily take that weird route, but I do trust some people would, simply because they want to understand it. And I definitely also need to connect here too on this level, because some of the time people don't want to be there for a long time because they are bored and things are getting too basic. Also, if you have like a beautiful family, we have a wonderful job or a lovely garden, some of us can, in a way, fake it and make ourselves out of that which is going on, and then eventually knock on the door and it won't be able to open again. So it's like you're moving out of your beautiful rented apartment and then you can't get back in because somebody else is renting it. So it's like a little bit of a hard yard for some people to know where there is quality of life being improved through curiosity, and where there is just an appendix or like a one-way street, but then like you got to kind of like U-turn eventually. So this is the question, I think, for me, as I'm sure that it's a lot, it is for a lot of people. Am I doing something right? Am I using my curiosity, my alchemy for the greater good? Or am I overcomplicating my simplicity? Am I overcomplicating my situation? Same thing with, for example, herbs and spices. Putting all of these herbs and spices in your meal. Sometimes you can overcomplicate a dish, and sometimes it can help you with your health. You know, so this kind of depends. I think not a lot of people really know. So this kind of depends on your unconscious wilderness. So Orpheus, like this time of the solar chart, is not really necessarily about going for it. It's just basically knowing how to enjoy yourself. It's like if you can imagine a guy, he's just juggling and he's enjoying the juggling. He doesn't have to like go pick up a bag and become a busker. He doesn't have to do that yet. It's just that he knows now he can juggle. It's not necessarily about the acrobat becoming well known for being an acrobat. It's just about the ability and understanding that you got this. So this whole time here basically is not necessarily about sugarcoating it either. And I understand that there is a lot of false positivity out there and people just wanting to feel or remember that they feel so good, and they want to tell other people that they've done it even though they haven't done anything. So we have to basically bring it down to size. Honesty is the most beautiful thing that one can experience and express. So at the same time as, yeah, there is curiosity and there is a spice of life and everything and variety for some people, there has to also be honesty. So if you don't know one or the other too well, you don't have the two snakes to play with. So you don't have the yin and the yang. So like the idea here basically is to be curious and mystical, and at the same time to be honest and true. And that's where the warrior spirit is. And if people don't really want that, that's fine. And that's, I suppose, the culprit here, or the big question mark that I'm asking myself, as I'm sure many other people that are testing their boundaries today. Do I really need to like really be all that? And I feel that yes, you should be open, but at the same time recognize not everybody's going to realize you. Not everybody's going to open their heart to you. You know, it's like being a busker on the street. Not everybody's going to put $1 in your suitcase. You know, not every, or your hat. Not everybody's going to also like lie to you and tell you doing great when they think you're doing wrong. It is actually a very, very sad time for some people if you have been lied to a lot. So this particular time is incredible for liars. I didn't want to bring this into the reading, but I thought that I would drop this in as well because it's important. We have Mercury next to Venus. People are incredible at saying things. They're incredible at moving energy. Some of us are really, really good at knowing how to use our face and our mannerisms. Also, as Sagittarius brings up the question mark of who you are on the outside or how you present. And yes, I do understand that a lot of what people see in other people is a promise of something that they're not. And a lot of it is a game of mirrors and a game of ego. We do still have retrograde Mars in Gemini, also mirrors, and a lot of mirror work and mirror understanding. So not many people really want this, but yeah, it happens. It's happened to me a few times this month. It's happened to other people. Being promised things that don't work. Being given a gadget that has nothing inside. Being sold a tomato that is poisonous. You know, being told what to do by a person that looks like they've got their best intention for you. Being sold things. So like the false salesman or the person that wants to sell you something without appropriately measuring you, meaning they don't feel equal to you, they're not a friend of yours, but they want to sell you something. So it's not necessarily that it's for all people, but I definitely think that we need to be careful with sales. And also, if you're selling something, understand from what angle you're coming. So, for example, if you suddenly want to be in front of the camera, if you suddenly want to be the best friend, if you suddenly want to hold someone's hand for a minute to make a buck and then basically leave, understand what is that. So this lying and this false speaking or the sudden need or urge to make an impression on other people is something that I've experienced as well. And it's very important that you take that candy out of the equation and look at things for what they are. So if you're buying a vehicle, not a good time to buy a vehicle. Just not great. Look at what's under the hood. Like, you have to really see it to believe it. And also a lot of us that have many, many, many things that we could have said, done, and we had left behind and we didn't want to show. Maybe those false promises as well, or those personalities are outward. So for example, a person that has had stacks and stacks and stacks of books and clothes and boxes of things in their house suddenly wants everybody to have or want something they've got. So outdated wares. I also talked a little bit in Scorpio earlier about things being really awesome. For example, you have always been a poet, and now it's like your time to shine and you show your jewels. That was then. Now is different. So at the end of Scorpio, some people want to talk about or revisit or just blatantly push forward things that are not fresh. For example, wanting to talk about the past, or wanting to sell stock that is not good stock, or wanting to somehow place another person in danger by just wanting to make a profit. So definitely understand, not a lot of that which people are trying to sell and butter up each other with is good. Not a lot of it has grace, and also not a lot of those people are going to themselves survive. So for example, if you really, really are itchy to make a sale, if you really want somebody to believe in you now, if you want to make a friend, if you want to be dependent on somebody, if you really want to be employed or have an employer, if you want to fall in love more than anything, if you want to keep that person in close proximity and closed doors, or if you really want to be a friend of a friend, like this strong urgency to be together and to have some kind of money or energy coming from some other source, milking another person for energy or money, or milking another person for attention, like, please give me this now, there might not be enough within yourself. So we have to understand sudden infantility happening around this time of the chart. So here's the Orpheus. He is the person that just doesn't care. Look, I got no shoes, no clothes on my body. I'm just going to walk out into the wilderness and have a freaking great day. That's Orpheus. You know, maybe he's got like, I don't know, like a skin of a bear or something like that. But he's basically a naked huntsman. And he just does whatever the heck he likes. And that's the person that we want to be like, inevitably, male or female. But like, this is where you really understand, like, the sucking of thumb and wanting to be in bed and needing blankies, unless you are actually secretly really sick. A lot of our secrets can come to the surface now. Like, I've got fibromyalgia, or like I got immune disorders, or I suddenly like have a bout of rheumatism or something. Some things we cannot help. Also, if you have a surfacing disease that is coming at the end of Scorpio, you've missed out something. You've missed out. Sometimes it comes on as a kind of like, oh, I can't compete, or I can't grow, or I can't do this. It's like the body gives in. It's not just the body, it's the psyche not wanting you to progress. So here we have to really, really unravel and unriddle this riddle. Also, hereditary disease, and not just this, things you've been taught and told since you were a child. For example, I'm also one of those people. You're weak, you know, like girls have to stay at home, or like boys don't cry, you know, all of these different things that you got told as a kid. If you got bullied at school, if you got made to do things you didn't want to do around the house, if you got made to be things you didn't want to be, if you got put into very uncomfortable situations, also if you have some kind of mental illness, since you were a child, or something that started from real trauma, or like if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, it's very rarely that it happens later in your life. It's usually the seeding of you that would have had it. Have a fair few things to help you with, teach people if you need. I've got quite a lot of experience with this. If you were born in a certain family or group of people that has certain kind of psychosis or obsession or mania, you know, they're like little cults of people, just creepy things happening in the time of your life, even before you were born, definitely can help you there. So in terms of that, be very careful. But you can unriddle this riddle and see the face of that which was before your birth. Now, this is very, very hard for me. It's very hard for me to notice, like, some things I can't just like scrape out or grill out of my body. There is not like a lot I can do about certain type of illness that keeps on recurring also for me. But I definitely understand that during this time, right before the moon, we have a little bit more intelligence and a little bit more might, thanks to Orpheus. And maybe it's you or another person in your story that can open this stale energy. It's kind of like popping open something that has been seriously rotting away. If something is very, very old and has just been ongoing in your body, and I feel that in the modern age, probably most people have something like that, even if it's inside the bone marrow, even if it's inside your heart, if it's inside your psyche, even if your soul at its core has a rotten aspect to it, or you have been conceived by people that were rotten or uncomfortable. I'm sorry if this is like very strong information. you can open a very, 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 very big thing here. But here you see you can do this with least resistance. I don't think every single person needs to do this. If you're a nice, healthy, bright person and suddenly opportunity is unlimited and you have so many things to do and so many places to be and you have so many people to speak to by the end of Scorpio, you've done it. That alone may teach you how to be free and within reason solve a lot of your problems. But if you suddenly are falling apart and you feel like, wow, I'm a mess, or like I have a sudden bout of like, say, acne, or like I have sudden like body dysphoria, I can't leave the house, I don't want to go anywhere, like, you know, like I feel bad about who I am or something like that, or my parents, you know, I have like childhood memories, all of this. If you have like a sudden bout of sadness, it's a very interesting time to go see a shaman. Interesting time for plant medicines, not for everybody, as I'm sure a lot of people are very conservative that are listening to my channel here. But also, like, there's a lot that you can do without really having to go through those extremes, just by picking it apart. So what did your father say to you then? Oh, he said this. And then what did your mother say? Well, she frowned and she said this. Okay. And what did you feel about this? I felt like this. Can you tell me about that person that's feeling like this? Well, you know, she's like this and like that. This is like the psychiatrist chair. And maybe some people do have to take some medicines here or see the doctor. But there is also a feeling of being not so nervous in the face of danger or in the face of shame or melancholy. So yeah, suddenly feeling not so scared. You know, never tried this, gonna go and try it. Never wanted this, now I'm gonna want it. Never wanted to ever expand this way, now I'm gonna expand this way. So this is like your whole body can stretch open and become almost like a new body. But this takes a certain type of willpower. So don't spend it at home. But if you are really coiling and you just can't help it, like, my gosh, Polina, like, it's great what you're saying, but I got like stomach aches like almost every day. So what I do about this, I cleanse. I mean, I cleanse all the time. Right now I'm taking anti-parasitic sachets. I love this. Like, anytime you can do something, but you also don't have to. And I know that a lot of people are not open to this, and a lot of people don't understand that cleansing your body cancels out a lot of these esoteric programs. You just basically let go and be yourself, but not a lot of people want to know that, so that's okay. Being yourself and who you are is important. It's important not to just fall asleep and feel fine. It is also depends if you are feeling very ill, if you have sudden sickness, sudden bout of infertility, let somebody know. Look it in the face. And also, something great has come and you can't see it. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's happened in my life also recently. It's like you are now facing the right way and you can't see the future in the eyes and you're walking the other direction. That's very important to see. If some part of your pain body doesn't respect you if you're succeeding, if some part of your pain body, your ancestors, don't want you to go in the right direction, they want you to go back down to earth, they want you to sit there sulking. And a lot of people have guilt, shame, lack, disrespect, you know, sadness, despair, ill health, bad habits to really look at today. So why I'm saying this is because also I found that for me, even though like I cleanse and I'm very thorough, it sneaks itself in somewhere. It still sneaks in, like, oh, I'm nobody, I failed, or like what I'm doing now is going to fail. Like this afraid feeling of lots of different things. Like it could be about sexuality, it could be about your life results, it could be about like what you get on the test, it could be about anything. So paranoia, feeling ill, feeling bad, like about anything, about money, about your health, about your body, about who you are and who you've been, about how much money you've made last year, how much money you're going to make now. All of these different reasons to feel ashamed are kind of really sort of up to date as well, but we have to look it in the face and not hide away. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, there is a picture of me floating around on the internet and I look like this, or somebody knows something. Is look it in the face. So the only thing we can do is look it in the face. Look it in the face and in a way kind of like keep smiling, keep staring. It's like, yeah, I know. Like, for example, I have failed, you know, or like, yeah, but like, look at this, like, no drama. So we have to raise that serotonin. We have to maybe take some antibiotics first for some people if there is something to do with bacteria in the body, or any kind of infestations or parasites or anything. Usually Scorpio would bring up a festering naturally. And then we have to basically let decay be decay, but look at it in the face. Especially if you can see it now in other people as well. It's like, wow, I never knew this person was actually incredibly low. Wow, I never needed to see that, but wow, that person is like really sick in here, you know. But we don't need to do it about other people, because we miss the point. We miss out on the opportunity to grow. So now is the awesome time to take your kids to a sporting ground, even if they've never done it before. If you have a lazy kid, take them to a therapist or practitioner, or just like walk with them, go to the park, drop them off at their recreational center, even if they're just sitting there looking at other children. That helped me a lot growing up. Just watching other kids, you know, even though I was kind of like told never to exercise by my controlling parents. You know, so that's the thing. It's like you basically have to greet yourself anew. Make your child go to the better school now. Understand that you've been doing something wrong and shameful. For example, oh my gosh, I don't want to wear clothes like this. I want to wear clothes like that. I don't want to eat pork and potatoes and cheese and gravy now. I want to eat vegetables, at least for a little bit. Wow, I want to change my road. Sagittarius is the road, is the path. I want to change my study. I want to offer myself better health, better wealth, and more open recreational activities. Recreational sport, drama, obsession with color and fruit and like culture, learning about different types of singing, different types of instruments, different type of magic. We want it more sometimes even than what we have at home. And now this is really crazy for me, okay? When you have a certain type of relationship with yourself or someone else, especially in your home, and you understand they don't want me, they want something else. Like, he's not looking at me, he's looking at the Instagram girl on, you know, on the beach. We don't want that, but this is somehow also happening within ourselves. We think it's always like a one-way equation, like, oh, it's the man and he's looking at the Instagram. It's not like that. It's like, I also feel bored of me. I'm boring to me. So this is also another thing. Time to give sex a break for couples that are not fully consciously creative together. You know, also time to give those clothes a break, time to give that energy a break, and to start to study yourself. And yes, celibacy hurts, but it brings us up faster. And conscious connection with people, even if you are not amorous with them, sometimes can mean so much more than a sensual experience with somebody. And we have to start to see the truth, take responsibility, and become stronger as a species if we are to conceive better ideologies within ourselves and other people. We can't just spread our love around. And also, yeah, in Scorpio, I talked a little bit about people not having focus and just wanting to just kind of lash out, splash out, pay here, pay there, lace their love around the place, I don't know, treat people to like coffee and cake and talk about nothing. And this is where infantility really lets you know that you haven't done the work, or you haven't done it. And this is hard. Now, this is really, really hard also, I think, for me and other people when your upbringing or your initial seeding, if you have been seeded by infantile people, or you have been created by an infantile even slice of society. It's like, I know I could just have this mission now. I know I could have this road. I know I can. It's clear. It's clear. Like, God wants me to do this. Nature, love, everything is strategically putting me into the right places, right people. But there is not necessarily self-sabotage. There's just like a negligent person's like, I don't know, I'm okay like this. Now, that slowness, you see, if you don't want this, yeah, you can break it. You can break it. But we've got to be very holy people to ourselves and others here. Like, you don't want to like teach your child a lesson by spanking them. You don't want to like make yourself go the extra mile when your knees are buckling. So we have to basically breathe through it, especially if you understand, my God, I've been but a child. I've made myself nobody. I've been unwise. Like I've become nothing. I've become like a kind of emotional or energetic probe for another person, but I haven't actually been really even a friend. And the miracle of just that, the sentiment of not being there yet, and not being clever enough, or not being conscious enough of who you are, and not feeling proud enough of your lifetime, and not feeling good enough about yourself, now starts to come back to you. Now, how do we amp it up? Okay, I'm cleansing. That's what I'm doing. I've been doing this for quite a few days, and it's something that I do constantly on and on in my life. I go on about it. I know, I'm sorry, it's boring. I cleanse my body. Anytime that I'm just like starting to get like this, anything, any symptom, okay, gonna do this. Chanca piedra, wonderful plant, stonebreaker plant, really good for kidneys, you know. Also, I'm gonna get on that very soon. That's another way of doing it. But like for some people, I feel there's not enough time. So like, for example, for me to purge my body now is great because I do it habitually. But for somebody else who has never considered cleansing, never dieted, never done any plants, now it's really good to amp up the energy, amp up the glow, sunshine. Sunshine, going to a sunbed, yeah, okay, going to a sports game, having a scream, hearing something natural. Find yourself some sounds online, like the sound of rain, the sound of the river, the sound of fire, the sound of something, just to be interested, to become more curious about yourself and your lifetime. I think I'm going to definitely do a little bit of that. I just made a soundtrack of rain with me singing and playing kalimba to the rain. Just do something, just do something. It's kind of like that, like do something. And also, if you like oranges, orange zest also cleanses the body and raises the frequency, has a lot more vitamins than the actual orange seed. Not for everybody, it's a purgative, but yeah, I eat the seeds as well sometimes. Taking yourself to the river, taking yourself somewhere, looking at the skyline, training your eyes to be way out there, way out there. Wow, what's that? It's a bird? What is that? What is it in the sky? Wow, look at that tree, the silhouette of a tree way out there, rather than looking like this at your computer, your phone or something, or your tablet. And we have to also de-evolve that part of the personality that finds or thinks that treasure is, like say in the stomach. You know, I ate a nice piece of cake. Now that is treasure to me. Or like I met a friend, we talked on a phone, that is treasure to me. So we want to come out of that candida consciousness and these like fake realities and propositions from life, although I do definitely understand sometimes you just got to like raise the chemicals, and if that helps you feel something, okay, so be it. But we have to also understand the longevity of your progress, the longevity of your program, and try to find the zest. So vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A, I suppose. Okay, chicken liver for some people if you're anemic, you know, going for a run, more zest, you know, leafy greens, eat a broccoli, go somewhere together with somebody, get an exhilarating massage, like a very strong massage. Find out what is going on in your body. You know, it's a great world out there. There is so much to do. There are so many things that we can apply our time and energy to, but we can't do it unless we really, really see it. We have to see it. So we have to sometimes see it to believe it, but it's definitely like come to my attention that we all have to basically shine. And if we aren't, or if we don't want to, okay, that's okay. Shine, why? Just to live, you know, just to live. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with that stuff. Thank you so much. It's been funny. It's been great speaking to you. Have a look at my recent book. So if you're curious about the predictions for the next year, I have written a book and it is available now on Kindle and physical. It's on Amazon, so you can have it as an ebook or you can have it as a physical book. Also, I have a website, and the website has information about me, and yes, you can get private readings, and I can answer any question, and I've been doing that for many years. And then, of course, we have my music, and it's on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere, and it's just, if you type in my name, you'll get a lot of information there. And I have recently made a channel. Now, the channel is a spicy one. It is a very interesting one. It's a spicy channel where I let my freak flag fly, and also I suppose we'll be doing interviews and other things on the channel eventually of people that have inspired or enlightened me, and I hope that it will be of worth. Thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.